Before I start yapping about my high school experience during COVID, this is just an FYI. In the background, I'm making a bunch of side dishes for carne asada I'm having with my friends. Back home, I decided to make was rice, potato salad, and a fruit salad that my mom didn't get to finish for Thanksgiving, so I'm helping her finish that, and I'll take some for my friends. Background is gonna be me and my mom and some of my friends as well cooking. We got pretty drunk this night, so there's gonna be some dumbass clips of us maybe being idiots. For my senior year of high school was probably one of the weirdest experiences ever, only because it was during COVID. And the reason I'm making this video is because I'm with my friends from back home. Ever since graduating high school, I've been close to these guys and we've been pretty much grown up together since first grade, some of us, some sixth grade. We were also watching the Texas versus Texas A&M game, so that was also fun. I'm gonna start talking about before my senior year, pretty much when COVID started, which everyone knows is March 2020. So towards like the end of my junior year, I was in baseball and there was a tournament we were playing which got canceled because there was several COVID cases in our region. This is around the same time COVID was becoming very serious in the US, and I remember people were making memes and making jokes about it that it was nothing that serious. This was like way before March. This is like beginning of February where people were making fun of it. I would say the only person that knew COVID was like very serious was probably my dad. He texted in our group chat for the family that once it gets to the US, everything's gonna get shut down. And he predicted that in December. Hopefully I can find a screenshot for this because I remember that exact text. After our tournament got shut down, 2 weeks later was our spring break. And during that spring break, we got an extra week off. And that extra week turned out to be a whole year and a half. So I basically didn't have a normal senior year like every high schooler does. I know I'm not the only one. There's the class of 2020 that had the last 3 months of their high school experience pretty much gone and just done online. And also for the class of 2021, which is my class. As you can imagine, since the baseball tournament was shut down, there was a lot of sports pretty much canceled for my junior year. And going into my senior year, there was a lot of sports that weren't allowed because of all the physical contact you have, such as football, wrestling, and other fall sports. Growing up, my favorite sports to play were always football, basketball, and baseball. And now that I didn't have my favorite sport that I love, which was football, it made me sad that I wasn't allowed to play that my senior year. This is very important to note as well. 5 high schools in my district that I went to, and there's 3 main ones where like sports were playable and the other 2 were like early college high schools, so they didn't really have any sports going on there. But the 3 main high schools didn't have, like I said, any sports during COVID. It was until my class of 2021 decided to pretty much protest to let us play. Looking back on this is probably the most selfish thing we did. And other schools around like our region were playing and we were like the only district that wasn't playing. This is also one of the first times I ever was involved in any kind of protest. You could tell, look at my dumbass having the mask facing the wrong side. We were doing this for one full day. I don't exactly remember how long we were there protesting, but I remember getting there like at 11 a.m. and I didn't leave until like 5 p.m. There's a lot of parents there to help us protest and help us argue to let us play. I remember also my uncle being one of the main people to convince the district board to let us play. A week went by and they came up with an agreement where, like I said, all the 3 high schools, the ones that had the sports like football and wrestling, they needed to have a certain amount of students to sign yes if they were gonna play, and if you didn't meet that requirement then you didn't play, or like that school didn't play at all. So my high school was lucky enough to be that one school where everyone pretty much said yes. I wouldn't say everyone, but like a majority of the people said yes, they would play. As you can imagine, since we were the only ones that said yes, everyone else in the other high schools transferred into our high school that were in our same district so they could play football or any other sport that had physical activity. The process of being able to play sucked because you had to get tested every single day, and that was so annoying. Like there were lines of these cars lined up just to get tested so that way the kids can play. Once there was one case where there was a positive COVID case, they would either cancel practice or cancel the game we were supposed to play that week. We were only scheduled for 4 games as well. And in high school, you're supposed to have 10 games before you can decide like a playoff or if you're able to play in the playoffs. My first 3 years in high school, we made it to playoffs every single year. So there was very little room for error, so you pretty much had to go undefeated in order to make the playoffs. Now that I think about it, this was a tough year for me. So we finally played our first game. The first half we were down by a touchdown, I think. I don't exactly remember. And then we come out, our first drive. I'm a fullback, by the way. That's my position. I'm known as the fat running back or leading blocker for the running back. And I'm going out for a pass. I caught the ball, but I pretty much stepped like Jalen Smith, if you guys know who that is. I'm gonna put a picture of what it looked like. This is pretty much what happened to my leg. Hyperextended my leg really badly. In that moment, I tore my ACL. I didn't realize at first that's what happened because I was still able to walk, but I didn't play the rest of that game. Going into practice the next day, we have like a recovery day where we like do some warm-ups and train and do a little bit of practice, but not too much. I was doing like a side shuffle, and when you tear your ACL, your knee gives out really quickly. So my knee gave out real quickly, and I tore the rest of my knee, which was like meniscus, and that made it worse. So now I had torn my ACL and meniscus. This time I was like done because I couldn't walk anymore. It was very painful to walk at this point. Since I couldn't walk anymore, I had to get carried out in a cart to the trainer's office, and he had to put my knee back in place. After that, he told me, you tore your ACL, because he could tell my leg was like very loose. So in my mind, I pretty much mad and disappointed that through the protests and all these like testing that we had to do for COVID, I was no longer able to play football during my senior year. As you could tell, I needed to get surgery, which I did. I supported the team on the sidelines after that, and we pretty much went 0-3. You're asking what happened to the last game? Oh, that got canceled because a lot of people got COVID and we couldn't play that final game, so we missed the playoffs. As far as classes go, it was the boring thing every single day where you probably even wake up late and show up to class late, like 10 minutes late. You pretend like you're there, but you're really not. Either playing video games or watching a show or a movie and just have the class being played in the background. That's pretty much what every high schooler I think did, at least the ones that I know as well. It was very rare I really actually paid attention. I was also at the top of my class at the time, and I still graduated at the top of my class, but I went down a little bit because of just slacking off. That is when I also realized classes online are not for me, especially going into college. I knew that I needed to be in a college classroom physically, because if I went online, I probably wouldn't even get the grades to pass those classes. My dad sometimes makes fun of me to this day because I wore a nice t-shirt and blue jeans and some nice shoes, like if I was going physically into school, even though it was online and no one could even see my fit. Not gonna lie, probably was not even a good fit, as I got clowned in college wearing the same things over and over. But that's all I had. I didn't see a need to get new clothes or new shoes or new anything until I got bullied in college. Thanks, Julieta and Genesis. Especially during high school, I would probably rotate the same type of clothes every 2 weeks. I think this year kind of changed me also as a person and what to think of as life, especially since I lost my uncle due to COVID. It was at the beginning of the school year, especially in August, when I lost him. He was a very energetic guy, someone I looked up to, very hardworking man. I remember it's also the first times I saw my dad cry at the funeral because that was his brother and he was always with him, always helping him out. They would help each other out for anything, especially when it came to construction. Dad's also an engineer and he wanted to show his brother an invention he made using a ladder as an elevator, and that was pretty cool, so that way we could work on roofs together. Going to December of 2020, I was just disappointed and sad, low-key depressed because of everything that had happened with my uncle pretty much not being able to play football anymore and probably not being able to play baseball my senior year when the spring semester rolled around. Thanksgiving and Christmas on crutches was not that fun. I would say it was around January where I finally got the acceptance letter for going into college, where I decided to finally change my attitude and become a positive guy again. I started going to the gym again, slowly increasing weight since I still had my injury with my torn ACL meniscus. Couldn't really lift that much, but I was still trying to be able to be physically active again. I knew I was going to be able to play baseball as well. I decided to become the water boy slash equipment manager for my baseball team. With the equipment, getting the balls, helmets, bats, all that kind of stuff. Also tracking runs and everything scores. I just tried my best to have a normal senior year as best as I could based on my injury. And also due to the fact it's COVID. Baseball team, we made it to the playoffs. We made it to the third round, I believe. if I recall. But that's kind of how we've always been, just making it to the third round. This is also the first time I started watching anime. That's kind of, I think, where everyone started was during COVID. And the first anime I watched was Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer. Those were the first two. Also, I saw the Mugen Train. That was like the first movie I saw by myself ever in the theater. I would say there was pros and cons to being home most of the time during COVID, such as like being able to watch whatever you want during class, even though you're not supposed to, but everyone did it anyway. Playing video games whenever you weren't supposed to, but everyone did it anyway. I feel like it made a lot of people lazy, especially me as well. Well, I had nothing else to do. I was pretty much crippled. The one thing I did hate was that we didn't have any events for the seniors, so such as senior sunset, prom, or homecoming. However, we got frustrated as a class, so a lot of people, they were mostly the girls I remember in charge of this, but there was a lot of people that were seniors that wanted to do their own prom. Instead of having a sponsor for our prom, we pretty much sponsored ourselves as a class. So everyone that wanted to go to prom had to pitch in $20, and that was like your ticket of going to prom. Shout out to the girls hosting. We decided to have a prom. The other four high schools in our district got mad at us because they weren't allowed to have one. We didn't really ask permission, we just did it. And the reason they got mad is because they thought we were being sponsored by our high school, or someone in the high school was sponsoring for us. That didn't happen. It was the students sponsoring ourselves. I remember there was a bunch of beef online, especially with Snapchat, because that was the only app everyone used in high school. That's also how everyone reached out to each other to make that prom happen. Of course, not everyone got to go, not even half the seniors got to go because a lot of parents were strict about COVID and didn't let their kids go outside of the house. I almost didn't go because I didn't have permission to go because my parents were very strict about COVID. Since I lost my uncle, they were very scared of anyone getting it in our family. And my only argument was to them was, this is my senior year. Can I please at least have something? I didn't have homecoming. I didn't have senior or sunrise, playing my final year in football or baseball. I'm not gonna lie, that night ended up being one of the most memorable nights because it was one of the last times I got to see a lot of my friends during my high school years. Took a photo with all the guys that went, see if I can find it here. And we also took a photo of my friend group of the guys. Some of them were actually at this carne asada. We went to a small, it wasn't really an after, it was just like a hangout session. We were just chilling, listening to music, and I wasn't drinking beer, but there was a lot of other guys drinking beer. I didn't drink beer until I went to college. Before going to college, I had one of the biggest regrets ever, and it was thanks to my strict parents. So when graduation rolls around, there's this whole video they sent on what to do and how to behave and keep your distance. Our start time was also at 8 a.m., so it was very early in the morning. So the top 10% of the class would sit in the front, and everyone else would sit alphabetically. I was one of the top 10%, specifically 5 overall. I was able to sit in the very front. This was also outdoor, by the way, at a football stadium, so it was very hot, especially in the morning. The temperature kept rising in the summer. When I was sitting in the front, I was taking as many videos, photos that I can with everyone around, even though everyone was far apart because everyone was social distancing. You still had to wear your mask. Another thing is your family was only limited to 4 people, so if you had a very large family, it was pretty difficult to get them all able to watch you graduate. After the ceremony, I meet up with my family, and everyone's going in towards the exit. Before everyone is heading towards the exit, I take as many photos as I can with some of my friends as we're exiting. I mentioned this, but this is very important. My dad and my mom work for the district, so they were parked in the employee parking. So everyone else was going towards the regular exit where all the parked cars are for like parents. So this is very important because my biggest regret is not going to that exit where everyone else is going. I only took pictures with like 5 or 6 friends that were closest to me, and there was a lot more back in high school that I was closer to. I did not get to take pictures with them, but everyone else got to take pictures with each other because they went through that exit. And my mom and my dad were forcing me to go to the car so that we can leave. They were so afraid of getting COVID or anyone else in the family getting COVID again, to the fact that I didn't get to take any pictures with the friends that I made throughout the years. And that is the biggest regret I had in high school, is not taking the photos, especially during graduation when everyone was together. And that's why I was only able to take as many pictures as I can at the prom where everyone was together. And that's why that was more memorable to me than the graduation. My graduation date for college, I told my mom and my dad, can you please let me take photos with all my friends before we take any family photos? Because that was the biggest regret I had in high school, was not taking the photos with my friends after graduation. And I hope people learn to take as many photos as you can, especially in high school, because you probably won't see those people again ever in your life, especially if you move to a different college that's not in your town. So now that I'm with my friends currently in this video, now I try to take as many photos or videos as I can with everyone that I'm with and everyone that I love. And I hope everyone else does so too. So yeah, that was my high school experience during my senior year, which was also during COVID. If you like this type of content, please like, subscribe, and comment anything you would like for me to talk about or like for me to cook. Thank you, and see you later.